Are you looking for a terrific Halloween date? Maybe you need a fun activity for your family. Whether you want to hang out with your children, with teenagers, or adults, stay tuned. I love Halloween and always have. Today, we're going to talk about some Halloween fun, finding dead people. It's a great activity that you can do with friends, family of all ages, with youth groups. It doesn't matter. It's always a success. What is better than a cemetery at Halloween? And unfortunately, a lot of these headstones have been damaged. Here's a picture of one that is not that old, but has still, because of the material it was used, weathered away with time. In addition, some people do damage at cemeteries and break headstones or knock them over. Please don't do that. So let's talk about things we can do to preserve this history and have a great time at the same time. Kids love it. You tell kids, hey, let's go to the cemetery and find dead people. Particularly at this time of year, it's going to be a hit, I promise. What are we talking about?
Photographing these headstones to preserve them.
Well, there's two main websites that house records of headstones and house images of the headstones. The first is FindAGrave, and the second is BillionGraves. So let me tell you the three main ways that you can help out with these websites. One, you can fulfill a request. When somebody asks for an image of a headstone, you can go find that headstone and take the picture. Two, you can just go to the cemetery and take photographs of lots of different headstones. And that way they'll all get uploaded into the site and people will find their ancestors. And three, you can transcribe those photographs so that they then become searchable. Today, we're going to talk about the first two. We're going to talk about answering people's photo requests and just photographing headstones at a cemetery. So let me tell you how to do this with your family and how it's so fun. You can bring your family, and if you're answering a photo request, you can tell your kids, okay, we're looking for the name of Haas, Haas. And kids, really young kids, can find headstones with that name on them, and they love looking for them. And it's a great activity. You can bring a youth group, I've done that before, to a cemetery, and everybody go down a row with their phones and photograph headstones. And that way we photograph a huge portion of the cemetery for people. And then of course, after you've had your cemetery activity, you can either at the cemetery or later on, you can come home for some hot cocoa and some fun Halloween snacks. So let's get started.
Now we're ready to go somewhere. So we're going to use my iPhone to visit a grave site, and I'll walk you through the steps. First, I'm going to open the FindAGrave app. I'm going to focus on first photo requests. Now that I've pulled up the app, I see that there are 76 photo requests near my location at 6 different cemeteries. The map will hone into my area, and the little green things are cemeteries that are in my area. I'm going to focus on a cemetery in Oxnard called Santa Clara Cemetery. It has 3,949 memorials. So if I click on Santa Clara Cemetery, I see that it's also known as Santa Clara Catholic Cemetery, and a FindAGrave user posted a picture of the entrance to the cemetery, which is really helpful. Sometimes it's hard to find a cemetery. I'd like to note that it said that only 52% of the plots were photographed at this point. When I click the open requests, I see a listing of those 34 names. Theodore Benedetto Amato, somebody has his birth and death, and they have a photograph of him, but they don't have an image of his headstone, and that's what they are looking for. Now I'm going to do the same thing with BillionGraves. Now I'm opening up the BillionGraves app, and I'm going to look at the cemeteries that are around me. Here you can see the Santa Clara Catholic Cemetery on BillionGraves. They give the address and they note how many headstone images have been taken in that cemetery, which when we know how large that cemetery is, they only have 289 headstone images. They have 0 requests, though, for this cemetery on this website. So I'm going to use the BillionGraves app. FindAGrave will allow you to do the same thing, but I'm just going to click that directions button up there in the blue line, and I'm going to route myself to the Santa Clara Catholic Cemetery. Off we go. Hi, I'm at Santa Clara Cemetery and Mausoleum in Oxnard. And I started by going into the office and asking for identification of where certain grave sites were that were on the list of things that people wanted to have a photograph of. And they were so wonderful. We see that Genevieve Hawes was buried in Grave 1, Lot 66 of Section B. And Henry Hawes was buried in Grave 3, Lot 65, Section B. If you take a look at the map, it will show you where Section B is. When you zoom in, the numbers are very small, but you can see that they've sectioned off different lots. Then you see 46, a couple of lots above 16. And if you kind of do the math, it ends up that Lot 66 is over kind of on the far right side of Lot B. Not all the way over there, but anyway, you get the general idea. So I made my way over there with the camera on my phone ready to go. I opened up the FindAGrave app and went to my listing of photo requests and scrolled down to Hawes, which was the one that we were doing. I opened up Henry Joseph Hawes and clicked Photo Request. Fulfill. Take photo of grave. Then FindAGrave would like to access my photos. So I said, allow access to all photos. And then I got a notation, FindAGrave would like access to your camera. Okay, now I'm using my camera and I can take the picture of Henry Hawes. Now I've turned it sideways so that I could get a larger shot of the actual headstone. And then I can rotate it if you see that button on the bottom middle. So I rotated the headstone photograph and clicked OK. Then I clicked upload. I should note here that one of the differences between FindAGrave and BillionGraves is FindAGrave, you need to upload your photographs right away and you will be using data, whereas on BillionGraves, you can wait and upload later. At least that's my understanding of things. So after I finished that, then I went ahead and proceeded to do the same for Genevieve. I'm not sure if you noticed, but a little message came up as I was taking the picture of Genevieve that said that Henry's had uploaded. After I was finished with Genevieve, I went ahead and opened up the BillionGraves app. And again, I went through the process of selecting the cemetery. And when BillionGraves opens up the cemetery, they will actually show you exactly where all of the GPS recorded headstones have been. So if you want to take pictures of just headstones in a cemetery, you can see where they're missing photos. And as I zoom in here, you can see all of the different headstones that have been recorded on BillionGraves. So, but the headstone that I was taking a picture of was way over on this other side. And so you can see that represented by the blue dot. It shows exactly where I am. And that headstone had not been recorded. So I wanted to go ahead and at least upload those two headstones to BillionGraves. So these were not requests. So I'm just going to take a picture of headstones. And here I am zooming in on the headstone again. I am going to take the picture of the headstone. When you're taking multiple headstone pictures, you don't have to go through the process of uploading it like you do on FindAGrave and things like that. As you can see, I'm just going from headstone to headstone, taking pictures. Make sure you brush off the headstone so that you can get a clear picture of the name and the dates and things like that. Now, if I want to just take photographs of headstones on FindAGrave, like I just did on BillionGraves, I can go to New Headstone Photos. Again, I'm choosing the cemetery, and I'm taking a photo of a grave. Now I can just go along and take photographs of every grave that I want to take a picture of. Again, here I need to manually rotate the photograph. If you notice the button on the bottom too that says group, if you have a bunch of headstones that are in a family plot, for instance, you can group those together so that people know that they were all within the same headstone plot. And then you just click done. If you notice, then it says the photo is uploaded and they're ready to be transcribed. I wanted to go ahead and mention at this time what a wonderful place the cemetery is. And I know I'm kind of making fun about talking about coming and finding dead people for Halloween, but there's something sacred about being in a cemetery, and it's really wonderful to be able to help people find their family and give them a headstone of their deceased relatives so that they can have that regardless of where they live. And so I recommend that you come and do it, whether you look for individual headstones that there's a request for, or whether you come and just take photos of a cemetery. It's a great experience, and really kids do love running around and finding the headstones. So give it a try.
Well, I hope this has been helpful and that you now are ready to go and have a wonderful experience with your family or friends. Happy Halloween and have a great day. Thanks.